When people talk about Colorado Springs, they talk about the beautiful mountain views, the hiking trails, the natural beauty, and the quality of life here. They paint this beautiful picture and make it out to be this desirable place to live in and a top destination to visit. But Colorado Springs is definitely not a magical fairyland for everybody. In fact, a lot of people, when they move here, they realize it's not what they pictured in their minds. Now, don't get me wrong, I love living in Colorado Springs. It's my home, it's where I've lived, and I've lived here for almost 40 years. And I've been to a lot of different places. I've seen a lot of other places, and every time I come home, it just feels right. But that's not the case for everyone. And if this is your first time here, my name is Iris, and I've been living in Colorado Springs for a very long time. As a real estate agent in the area, I've seen a lot and I hear a lot of what people can't stand about living here. And in today's video, I want to be super transparent about the 10 things you're going to want to be able to handle if you're going to be moving to Colorado Springs. But make sure you stay all the way to the end, where I'll share the top reasons people don't like living in Colorado Springs. And not a lot of people talk about this because I guess it's taboo, or they don't want to make it seem like the Springs is a horrible place, and it's really not. But I'll go into that a little bit later in the video. Let's hit the first thing that you need to be able to handle to live in Colorado Springs, and it's the dry winter months. Fall is incredible here. If you've ever been to Colorado Springs in the fall, you know that it is so incredibly beautiful. It's what I call the gift before the dread. Winters can be brutal. Not every winter is terrible, but I'll explain. First, it's the cold temperatures. If you're coming from cold weather, you'll understand, but if you're not and you're coming from hotter weather, imagine this. Winters in Colorado Springs can get pretty cold, especially at night. The cold, dry air and the wind chill can make it really uncomfortable for people who are not accustomed to the climate. One of my least favorite memories is having to go out when the kids have their sports and just feeling that ice cold wind on your face. It's not fun. It literally hurts. And some people love it. Most people actually hate it. So then there's the snowfall and the ice. Even though we don't get as much snow as other parts of Colorado, the random snowstorms can still make driving and commuting really difficult. I remember one year where the city was shut down because the roads were so bad. It was like a sheet of ice and everyone was getting stuck in the streets and sliding into other vehicles and the light posts. I hated driving in this weather because it would take me over an hour to get home. The streets and the sidewalks will get super icy, leading to really dangerous conditions, especially for our older folks. And it's definitely not fun to have to drive to work in. So another thing is the wind. I didn't realize how bad the wind was here until a few years ago. We kept buying an umbrella to go out in the back deck. Umbrellas would just snap in half and break. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'd never realized how windy it was until that occurred, and maybe I just never paid attention to it. You might not like the wind. Colorado Springs experiences strong winds, especially in the winter, and can make these blizzard-like conditions even when it's not snowing. Those are the worst storms. And then you've got a bomb cyclone. Like, what in the world is a bomb cyclone? Whatever it was, it knocked out all of the power and took one of our trees down and the whole fence with it. But they're the worst storms because it's just nothing but cold winds. And the snow is actually really pretty when we do get to experience it. You also have to consider the dry climate. Now, the dry climate is an issue because it can cause dry skin, chapped lips, and respiratory issues. So the lack of humidity in the winter makes this worse, and the static electricity is awful. However, one benefit that I do like about it being dry is that I don't have to deal with a ton of mold. And when I'm putting dishes away, I don't have to worry about the moisture sitting on the cups or plates or whatever for too long, towels from the dryer. The moisture doesn't stick too long, so you don't have to worry about mold. So that is one plus about the dry climate. There's also shorter days in the winter, which can contribute to seasonal affective disorder. And that makes the winter feel longer. And maybe that's my problem because these winters feel like an eternity sometimes. With everything being dead outside, the trees without leaves and the brown grass, it can really be a buzzkill. Like I said, it's really beautiful when it's snowing outside, but when we don't get the snow and it's just cold discomfort, then it's not as fun. You get higher heating bills. It gets dark at like 5 o'clock. But it is a great time to leave the state for warmer weather. Some people complain about the weather changing too quickly, but I kind of like it because you can get snow and sun in the same day and it's just fun. But the weather's not bad every day, so it's not that big of a deal. And most people do get used to it after living here for a while. Moving on to the next thing, number 2, Colorado Springs might not be your jam if you are looking for a big city vibe. Some people, like me, love this, but others find the laid-back atmosphere less appealing compared to larger cities like Denver. Nightlife and entertainment options in Colorado Springs are more limited. Fewer late-night dining spots, the clubs. I mean, we have a few nightclubs downtown, but nothing super exciting to go to. And cultural events can be a downside for those who are looking for more of a vibrant urban experience. Big cities tend to have that melting pot of a culture, and while Colorado Springs is becoming a lot more diverse, it doesn't have the same level of international communities like the restaurants. We do have some restaurants, but not a ton, and events like the larger cities offer. So another reason some people might not love Colorado Springs is the limited public transportation. Again, that small city vibe. We don't have as many options as a sprawling city for those that are used to like subways and trams, and we really have a car-dependent lifestyle here, and that can feel frustrating. Now, shopping in Colorado Springs can feel limited, especially for people who are used to a variety of high-end boutiques, large department stores that you typically find in bigger cities. But Denver is only an hour away, so if you do need that shopping experience, then there you go. Denver is the place to go. We also don't have like the big sports complexes and major league sports, but we do have local sports. You can watch baseball, we've got soccer, and then if you want to watch basketball or football, you can always go to the academy. Colorado Springs has a slower, much more relaxed pace, which might not appeal to those who thrive on the energy and hustle of a fast-moving urban environment, city-type vibe. Okay, so the next thing, number 3, why you might not want to make Colorado Springs your home is the growing homelessness problem. This is quite obvious here, and it's radically changed over the last several years. The amount of panhandlers I've seen has increased so much. We're seeing it even in the really nice upper class neighborhoods where I've never seen it there before. There were always little pockets, downtown West Side where you would see it. But now it's kind of becoming a thing all over the place. You've got people playing music in parking lots. This is a funny story. We saw someone playing a violin, asking for money, and they had, their violin out, their speaker, and it was beautiful, beautiful music. And someone walked up to that person and they were like, "Stop playing the music." And as soon as they stopped playing the violin, the music kept going. So it was just funny. I'm like, oh man, this is so beautiful. It turns out it wasn't really them playing. I just thought, wow, they're just faking it out here. But that's a side story. Now, when you search it up online, you don't see really high numbers for homelessness. Unsheltered, they call them. We do have a lot of panhandlers, but that doesn't mean, I guess, that they're homeless. They're just out there, And I'm just going to keep things real with you and tell you things that no one else is going to tell you. I think it's worse than what we're being told. It's everywhere. It's campsites, it's the shopping carts with all the belongings. So even though the numbers say that it's not as bad and that there's actually a decrease, it doesn't feel like a decrease at all. Now, each year, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development requires communities to conduct a one-night point-in-time count of people experiencing homelessness. Unsheltered people living in El Paso County decreased by 17% from a high of 1,562 in 2019 to the 2023 count of 1,302 per that PIT data. And according to the Colorado Sun, last year, Colorado Springs police issued 899 tickets to people who were homeless. 600 for trespassing on private property, 117 tickets for illegal camping in public spaces, and 182 for camping within 100 feet of a waterway. Police are saying that they're going to enforce these laws to prevent the city becoming trashy, their words, or the article's words. And in some of these areas, there is a lot of trash, which is sad because that was one of the things that I used to love, was so proud about how clean Colorado Springs was. Before we move on to the next thing, I'm super excited to share that we have merch now. So if you want to check out the items below this video. 50% of all of the proceeds are going to go towards our community, donating to the homeless, the Springs Rescue Mission, and also helping make sure that our families are fed and if there's any needs in the school. So 50%, if you want to contribute and just get some really cool Colorado swag, that would greatly support the mission and support the channel as well. So thank you so much. Now, the next thing that you need to handle or avoid Colorado Springs over is the cost of living. Utilities, including electricity and heating, tend to be a little more reasonable here, with monthly costs averaging between $200 and $400 a month for a standard home. And those heating costs could rise during the winter because obviously the cold. Grocery prices in Colorado Springs are close to the national average. So for a city our size, they're pretty decent. Expect to spend around $300 to $500 per month on groceries, depending on diet, obviously preferences, and your family size. Our kids are older, so they eat everything in sight. We probably spend closer to $600 or more a month on groceries. Again, we've got kids that are in their teens and 3 boys, so we spend a lot. Healthcare costs in Colorado Springs are slightly above the national average, but the city offers a wide range of healthcare facilities like the military hospitals, private clinics, and we've got a lot of these cool clinics that are popping up that are more natural, homeopathic type of healing, natural healing. So that's kind of cool. I'd rather take oils than prescription pills any day if it works. Obviously, there are some things you have to take pills, prescription for, but if it's something natural, that it could be an alternative. Love that. Lots of different options there. The current city tax rate combined amount is 8.2%. Property taxes in Colorado Springs are relatively low compared to other states, which helps offset some of the higher housing costs. Now, when it comes to those taxes, we have a breakdown on the colorado.gov website, so you can see where all those tax dollars percentage amount wise are going. When it comes to dining out, recreational activities, and entertainment in Colorado Springs, it's pretty relatively affordable compared to larger cities that are similar. However, the cost of dining at upscale restaurants can still add up. And of course, you've got your resort activities like skiing. Those can get pretty expensive. But I mean, just your day-to-day, you're going to be fine. I think we spend probably around $50 for a meal, like a nice meal dinner out for 2, my husband and I. With the food, there's so much food that you get in the Springs. I'm sure it's like that everywhere, but we get a lot of food. So my husband and I have been sharing meals and getting pretty full off of just sharing one meal, and it's better for our weight. Sharing a meal is a great way to not overeat for dinner and save some money. So I mean, we're not as expensive as Denver. We're actually pretty affordable comparatively outside of housing, unless you ask a local here. The next thing that you have to be able to handle is high home prices. The housing market has seen significant growth, with the median price hovering around $450,000 to $500,000 in 2024. Even though the Springs is more affordable than Denver, it's still relatively high compared to the national average. You've got people wanting those mountain views, those hiking spots, those neighborhoods. We do have a lot of luxury homes that people love here. Nice big lots, larger size home compared nationally, but again, higher than the national average. And renting in the Springs can be expensive as well, with the average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment around $1,300 to $1,500 per month. That's a 1-bedroom apartment. And if you need a 2-bedroom apartment, you're looking closer to $1,800 or more. I have a listing that is on the market. Rent is $1,800 for a 2-bedroom, but it is in the Broadmoor. So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out. We can get you set up with that. But it's a really nice neighborhood, but really you're just paying for those views. Single family homes are going to be running around $2,500 per month on average. And so how much do you need to make to afford living in Colorado Springs? Well, it depends. If you just want the 1-bedroom apartment averaging, like I said, $1,300 to $1,500 per month, you'd need an income of up to $60,000 to be comfortable, assuming that you're following the guideline of housing not to exceed 30% of your income. Now, to afford a home in Colorado Springs and maintain a comfortable lifestyle, you're probably going to be looking at an income of $125,000 to $150,000 per year. Obviously, these estimates can vary depending on the lifestyle choices and specific housing situations, but it provides a general guideline for living comfortably here. Number 6 on the list is the eternal construction. From housing to revitalization, road projects, parks, military, and commercial development, there's a ton of construction going on in Colorado Springs. I've never seen so much construction besides in bigger cities like Denver and New York. And I have a full video on some of the newest developments coming in 2025. So I'll link that up for you. And by the way, if you appreciate these informative videos, do me a huge favor. I put a lot of effort for you guys into these videos to help you with your move to Colorado Springs. If you want to just hit it with a thumbs up, that would be super awesome. That would really make my day. And if you want more content like this, make sure that you are subscribed, because I'm always posting videos about Colorado Springs, living here, all that fun stuff. And if you need help buying real estate, you can book a free consultation, and the link is in the description and at the end of the video. Now, the 7th reason why Colorado Springs may not be for you is the rising crime in the area. Yes, a lot of people on YouTube are not going to talk about the crime on that's going on here. For one, as real estate agents, we're not allowed to steer, but generally speaking, and looking at some of the stats here in the area, people don't like to talk about it. It's a question I get asked all the time when I'm working with home buyers relocating to the Springs. And I always refer them to certain websites that are linked below in the description, so you can look there as well. One of those websites is niche.com, where we get a C rating based on violence and property crime rates. But 62% of the people who responded say that they feel pretty safe and that there are some safety concerns, but generally feel safe. I am with that 62%. Some even said that they had no safety concerns. Very few people, in fact, only 3% say that they don't feel safe and there are high safety concerns. Again, larger city, larger problems. It comes with the territory, unfortunately. The 8th reason why you might want to avoid Colorado Springs is that this is a sprawling city. The Springs is the 2nd most populous city in Colorado, but it really doesn't feel that way because we're so big. We're 195 square miles spread out, which actually makes us bigger than Denver as far as land goes. But there's a lot of space where builders are building. We've got new developments popping up everywhere. The problem is the lack of water sources. Now, we actually just had a huge winter snowfall. And so that bought us another 3 years for water. So hopefully we don't have any issues going forward, but that can slow down the growth of our city by not having available resources for builders, for new communities. The 9th reason you may want to stay far away from Colorado Springs is the risk of fire. With the risk of fire being higher than a lot of other states, 2 things can happen here. First, the cost of insurance is screaming high. And then 2, if we don't get enough snow and rain, we could go into a drought, and anything can catch a fire, like cigarette butts, car sparks, sloppy fire handling. Those years are the worst because it seems to always be extra windy. And with that wind comes more likelihood of a fire. So you have neighborhoods like Black Forest and Mountain Shadows that still have scars to this day, burnt trees. You can see it as you're driving by these neighborhoods from the past fires, and homeowner insurance, again, is much higher in these areas. It's such a challenge because people come here for the trees, right, to live that mountain life. But then there's always this fear of a potential fire. Now, many homeowners are better at proper mitigation these days, so that's a big plus. That helps out a ton. People are catching on. Lenders are requiring it. So I do feel really good about that. Now, the 10th and final thing that you need to be able to handle if you're moving to Colorado Springs is the hail. Places like Fountain and Widefield, they get it way worse than we do, it seems, lately. And it does happen here. And just like the fire, we're all holding our breaths to make sure every year that we don't get pounded with hail. Now, the average cost of homeowners insurance in Colorado Springs is between $1,500 and $2,000 per year for a standard policy. And this is higher than the national average, which hovers around $1,200 per year, but not as high as other parts of Colorado that have even greater risk of wildfires or extreme weather. Premiums are going to range depending on the size and value of the home, the location, the level of coverage. Obviously, homes in higher risk areas, like those that are near the trees, like Black Forests, Mountain Shadows, Woodland Park, those are going to be a little bit more prone to the higher premiums of up to over $2,500 per year. Now, there are ways to lower your premium, like getting a grade 4 roof shingle on the house, or obviously bundling, but the damage to your property because of weather-related things can really put you in a bad mood. Just know that the hail is not an everyday thing. It's not like we're constantly being pounded by hail, and it's not in every area. And sometimes when we do, it's just like, it's just hail. It's going to happen again. A lot of us just drive around with the cracked windshields and the hail and the dents all over. Not the end of the world. All right, so I've given you a lot of reasons why people can't handle living in Colorado Springs, but I also want to share with you all the reasons why people love moving here. So check it out next. And if you need help buying or selling real estate again, please feel free to reach out, call, text, or book my calendar. I'll see you on the next one.